Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of The Passion Project, a new and the first podcast of Ohio University's chapter of her campus. I'm your guys' host, Caitlin Hunt. I am a writer and Twitter manager for her campus. A little bit about me outside of her campus: I am a junior here at Ohio University studying journalism, news, and information. Love it here. I'm originally from Canton, Ohio, and outside of her campus, I am a member of HCOU, which is a Christian organization on campus and a lot of other campuses as well. I'm also a Templeton Scholar here at Ohio University, and I am a proud Ohio Fellow. And I'm so glad you guys have decided to tune in to this very first episode. So, to give a little background, you guys are probably wondering, what is the Passion Project? So, very recently, the lovely Taylor Swift released a brand new album called Lover. I am loving it, much like the rest of America, and I'm so glad she's gotten back to her love song roots. And I was listening to it, and I listened to the last song on her album, Daylight. And she had this spoken outro, and it really spoke to me. It made me really reflective of things. She said, "I want to be defined by the things that I love, not the things I hate, not the things I'm afraid of, or the things that haunt me in the middle of the night. I just think that you are what you love." And it really had me thinking about it, because one thing I've been really trying to do more is to spread more love and positivity throughout not only my life, but through other people's lives. And I think you really have to change your perspective on how people look and think. And I think the easiest way to categorize humans or to join humans is to look at what we're passionate about and what stories people have to provide. And that's one thing I am passionate about. Um, and that quote in particular, like I said, is just how I really want to start living my life. And I think that quote really exudes what I think we should all be trying to strive for. That's great, especially in these times that we're going through, where there's so much back and forth on different views and everything. And I think we all need to find middle ground. And I think that start with finding what we love. And so that is what this podcast is going to be all about. I really want this podcast to be about passionate people. And these people can be passionate about honestly anything. I have multiple passions, which I'll get to in a short while. But I also want to share people's significant journeys. One reason why I decided to study journalism and become a journalist is because I think everyone has a story to share. And I want this to be a safe space where people can share that story and not be afraid to talk about what they've gone through, and just be open and show how, like, maybe something that's terrible has happened to them in the past, they can move on and move forward into the future, and start a new life for themselves. And I also want this to use this as a space to let people express themselves on, like, multiple topics. Just let it be an open space where people can feel safe to share whatever they're going through, and, like the title says, what they're passionate about. So you're probably wondering, okay, Caitlin, what are you passionate about? That is a very loaded question, and we are just about ready to sit back and unpack that. So, as I sort of said a little bit a while ago, I am passionate about journalism. So, when I was little, instead of getting up in the morning and watching SpongeBob at 7 o'clock in the morning, I was like getting up at 7 to watch the Today Show. But I've just been fascinated by the journalism field ever since I was young. I mean, my dad and I, every Sunday, we get super excited to watch 60 Minutes. It's just a field of study and a type of job that's just always been present in my life. And I've always loved it because I've always loved to write. When I was in elementary school, I did an after-school program where we put together a newspaper, and that's when I really started writing. And then in high school, I joined our school's newspaper, and at one point I was one of the editor-in-chiefs. And I just love it because there's so much power within the press. And I know that in this day and age, a lot of people don't understand that. And there's a lot of questions going on in the press, but I still think it's a very honorable job, and it's a very important job that we need in order to tell stories. And like I said, I love to write, and I think journalism, that's like the basis of journalism writing. And also, I love people. I mean, I am an introvert, but I love talking with people and having that interaction and hearing other stories. Other people just always just fascinate me. I just think people are truly fascinating. And maybe I spend too much time over analyzing them, but I just love to go to the mall and sit and people watch. My mom and I do it quite frequently. And it's just fascinating to see how people act. Like, we as humans are fascinating, guys. I hope you guys realize that. I encourage you guys to go to your local mall or somewhere, or sit somewhere and just admire people. It's truly invigorating. I just always like to see or overhear people's conversations. And of course, as a journalist, I have to cover a lot of social issues. And I know a lot of people think that journalists should remain like unbiased, but I mean, we're people too, and we have like our opinions. But I think one thing that I'm really passionate, there's several areas that I'm very passionate about, and I think should really start be covering, more in the media. So I'm big on mental health awareness. It's October now, but September was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think that's something so needed to talk about. You know, there's been so much stigma going behind mental health, and I think we're really opening the door just now to talk with people, because I think for a long time maybe people have been going through certain things and they think, wow, it's just only me. But these conversations that we've been having in, I think, the last several years, especially on social media, have really opened the doors for people and maybe make them realize that they're not so much alone. And I think we need to continue those conversations and really explore how like it's affecting like our generation as millennials and the generations after that. Have these conversations that the generations before us have not been having. I'm also big on inclusivity and racial inequalities. I'm actually Native American, and it's a big part of my identity. And I have stories and family members who have gone through just inequality, dealing with inequality because of their race, and it's something I'm very passionate about. And I think has a deep history here in America, and that's another topic that we are opening up on social media, and I'm very excited about. I think there's still like of course a long way to go, but it's something that I champion, equality for people. I mean, we're all human, we're all created. It's something that we're working towards, and I'm very glad that we as a society are doing that. So those are things I'm passionate about. I'm also very passionate about body positivity. So that sort of goes inclusivity into the media. I think it's great. I mean, it goes hand in hand with inclusivity, but also like mental health. I think that's something that we need to be talking about, and including all girls, because the media plays a big effect in how girls view themselves. I don't think everyone realizes that, but not only girls, but like men, boys, like anyone, everyone in general. So that's a big thing we should be talking about, and I'm passionate about. I'm also very passionate about my faith. I am a Christian. I'm passionate about sharing compassion with other people. I really believe in being kind. And I grew up in the church, and I have found my own faith through college as well. But just because I'm a Christian, I'm open to talking to other people of other faith backgrounds, because I think having faith, especially in college, is something that's extremely important. And I'm very open to having conversations to hear what other people think and other experiences that they've had. But that's my faith background, and I'm willing to share it as well. And a big portion, which you guys will probably hear a lot about, forewarning. For those of you who follow me or have been following me on her campus, I have a monthly column called Caitlin's Pop of Culture, in which I talk and give reviews on everything that I saw in the month, from the theaters, from whatever I've been watching on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. And so I am a huge, as the title insinuates, I am a huge pop culture lover. I can't describe it, but I can't pinpoint that first moment, but I've always been a big fan of movies and music and television. It's just who I am. I speak fluent pop culture, as it says in my Twitter bio. I just love it. I'm currently watching Ugly Betty on Hulu. I know it's an old show, but it's fantastic, and I'm encouraging everyone to take a look back at it, because it goes back to some social issues I'm passionate about. It talks a lot about body positivity and also just like being yourself, and I highly encourage you guys watch it. Some of my other favorite shows that I will love to delve into and talk to you guys about is I love The Crown. My Crown fans on Netflix. It's coming out in November. I'm so excited. It's very much long awaited. I'm so excited for this new cast, see where they're going. I know it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I also love Downton Abbey. I'm an old soul. Sorry for you guys. But I love Downton Abbey as well. I haven't seen the movie yet. If you guys have have seen it and have any thoughts on it, tag me on Twitter. I want to talk about this. I've been so excited for the movie, but I love Downton Abbey. I also love Stranger Things. I'm a big 80s fan, so I was so excited that Stranger Things was looking into the 1980s, and they had, like, we're throwing in sci-fi, and I just love that show because, the character development. I love big character ensemble shows, if you guys sort of see a trend. I just love them. I think it's fantastic. It's funny, but it's also very serious. I also love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't think a lot of people my age have been getting into it, but I love it. It's another show that's hilarious. Another great ensemble cast. It's on Amazon Prime. Very recently, but it's no longer with us. Game of Thrones. I loved Game of Thrones. I do have to say, as if you guys follow my column, wasn't crazy about the last season. I mean, in the beginning it was very good, but towards the end, not. I really think it could have really benefited from a longer season. But that's a story for another day. But definitely love Game of Thrones. But I'm always interested in anything as long as it looks good or interesting. Like, I just have a list of shows that I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting, or movies, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm open to it. I'm not too picky. Also, I guess more modern stuff that's I keep up with weekly more so that I'm not streaming. I love Riverdale. Riverdale. I know you guys are some of you guys are probably shaking your heads if you're familiar with Riverdale. I grew up reading the Archie comics. My cousin used to give me her hand-me-downs all the time, and so I was very excited to see that they were making a show out of it. And I mean, the first season's absolutely fantastic. I recommend that to everyone. But I mean, I know it's been going downhill in the recent seasons, and the writing is not the best. But it's sort of my guilty pleasure now. But I love the cast. I honestly think they're so talented, and I hope nothing but the best for them in the future because I really think they're super talented. I'm also a big fan of the Bachelor franchise. Okay, I know, guilty pleasure essential right here. But I only started watching it in recent years. The first Bachelor I watched was Ben Higgins. Loved him. I thought he was great. And ever since then, they just wrapped me in with all their other franchises because, after Ben, there was JoJo as the Bachelorette, and I love JoJo, so I was like, oh my gosh, I have to watch her as the Bachelorette, and then they had all the favorites on Bachelor in Paradise, so I've been in it for the last couple years watching all the things. Some seasons have been better than others, but I love to keep up with that crazy franchise. Also right now I'm watching Dancing with the Stars. I've watched that since I was very little. Big fan. They've done a little bit of a facelift to it, so I'm excited to see this season, especially because I think they have a lot of familiar names this season, and everyone's doing really well. Like, I just can't wait to watch the season. I think there's a lot of good talent, a lot of good development. Should be interesting, so tune in. So also, like I said, I'm a big moviegoer. So my dad and I, he's my movie-going partner. We just love to go to the movies. It's just, I've been doing it since I was very young. My parents always took me to the movies, I guess, for summer entertainment. So it's a very fond memories I've had in the movies. And so my dad and I go very often. So we're big Marvel fans. So whenever a Marvel movie comes out, we're like, okay, when are we going? When can we go? We got to buy our tickets in advance. So usually we see all the Marvel movies together. And we also go see Star Wars, which Star Wars is coming out in December, the last movie in the saga so far. We'll see if they add any more movies. But I'm very excited to see how it all wraps up. The last movie I saw in the theaters was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's last film that just came out. And that was my first Quentin Tarantino film I've ever seen. I know I claim to be a big movie buff, but I have not seen Pulp Fiction or any of those guys. But it was a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. So I guess I should share with you guys some of my favorite films. So my favorite film of all time, it's a bit of a weird one. I know a lot of people are probably like, really? I love Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is probably my favorite film, but I love history, and I love the humor in Forrest Gump, and I think the humor is very much like mine. It's one movie I can turn on TV, and I can repeat word for word. So the other one that is up there with Forrest Gump is Funny Girl. It's an older film. It stars Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand is my life. Love her. And Funny Girl just really spoke to me as a theme. So that's why it's also up there with Forrest Gump. I won't go into too much detail about it, but take a little Google search. We may have a long talk about it because I love Funny Girl. It's a musical. I also love Beauty and the Beast. I love the live action and the animated. They're both great in their own ways. I guess more recent films I really like are Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman. Two more controversial films, but I really thought Rami Malek was spectacular in Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, it turned me into a Queen fan. I love the movie. It was just really good fun. I was really blown away when I first saw it in theaters. And Rocketman, I grew up listening to Elton John, but I just there's something about this movie that I just keep going back to. love Taron Egerton, so talented. Hopefully he gets nominated for an Oscar. But some other things, like I said, I love Marvel films, Star Wars. I grew up with Disney, so I love Disney and Pixar films as well. Those are common things that you will take me to the movies and see. I love musicals, so adapt a musical into a movie, and I will be there. Some of my favorite actors, like I said, I love Barbara Streisand. I love Jennifer Lawrence. She is probably my favorite modern actress. Love her. I think she's hilarious. I love Emma Stone and Hathaway. Some actors, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think he's spectacular. I love Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans. Harrison Ford's my more classic actor. I think he's absolutely spectacular. Going old school, I love Judy Garland. And like I said, I love Taron Egerton, love Richard Madden, love the work that they're doing recently as well. So moving on to some music. This sounds so weird, but I really got into music last year. I mean, I guess I just really found my niche or my interest or like some of my favorite artists. I think my ears finally opened up and I was like, wow, I really like this. Or no, I really don't like that. So I just really just started to find the artists that I like jived with because it's been a while because, I guess my favorite modern artists are, like I said, I love Taylor Swift, love her album, but I was a huge One Direction fan back in the day. I mean, I'm still a huge One Direction fan, like, now, but One Direction was, like, my thing, my obsession, my teen obsession back in the day. And it's been quite a while since they've been together. But they're still my favorites, and ever since then, nothing else has just sort of felt the same until I found music last year, which we'll get into more detail. But like I said, modern artists, I love Taylor Swift, love One Direction. I listen to all their single stuff, but Niall is my favorite. I think Harry also has some spectacular work, but I will listen to any of them because I'm a supportive Directioner for sure. I listen to a little bit of Ariana Grande, and I like Shawn Mendes. I like the work that he's doing. But I'm mostly old school. So my favorites are Michael Jackson. Grew up listening to a lot of him. Once again, love Barbara Streisand. God bless her. Love Whitney Houston. I also love Elton John. Like I said, I recently got into him. I love his album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I think a lot of people agree with this. That's probably his best album. Favorite song's probably the title song Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I mean, there's a lot that I like, but that's probably my favorite. I also love Queen. Spectacular. Somebody to Love is probably one of my favorite songs of like all time. But that's definitely one of my favorite Queen songs. I also love George Michael. Okay. So George Michael, I sound like such a middle-aged mom when I say this, but I love George Michael. I think he is one of the most gorgeous people that the good Lord has placed on this planet. I mean, unfortunately, we lost him about, wow, like 3 years ago, but he is so spectacular. I think so underrated over here in America, just of some things that happen like in his private life and stuff, but I love his music because it's so diverse. Like, he has dance music, but he also has like rhythm and blues. I love his album Faith. I think that's classic George Michael there. If you guys are wondering who the heck I'm talking about, go listen to Faith. It's a spectacular album. It has like father figure and stuff like that. But I also dabble a little bit in Billy Joel. I like Billy Joel a lot. I like his album Innocent Man, which has like Uptown Girl for the longest time, which I know that's not his supposed best album, but I really like it. Some of my favorite songs, that's a really hard question. I mean, I sort of said, but I love Uptown Girl. I know that's not supposed to be like the best Billy Joel song, but it's something when that song comes on, I am like ready to go. I absolutely love that song. It just gives me this good feeling. Like I said, love Freedom 90. It's the same way. Goodbye the Yellow Brick Road. Don't Rain on My Parade is like my anthem. Like when I'm feeling down or like I really need a good marching song, which is, if you guys don't know, I mean, hopefully you guys have seen Glee. We love Glee over here. That's also one of my favorite TV shows. It's just a power anthem that both Miss Rachel Berry and Miss Barbara Streisand have sang so wonderfully. And it's a great empowerment song, and it just really reminds me, like, no one's gonna rain on my parade. Like, I'm gonna go and get what I want. So I love that energy from it. So I've talked a little bit about musicals, and Don't Rain on My Parade really segues into the next thing I'm super passionate about, which is musical theater. Now, I have been enamored with it ever since I was a little girl. My parents used to take me to see a lot of shows, and I guess just to get me involved in like the arts and stuff like that. Do not ask me to sing. I cannot. I have no background in musical theater. My friends were all in choir in high school, so I got all the musical tea off of them, but there's something about the spectacle of musicals that just bring me so much joy, and I think there's so much you can do more in musical theater than you can like versus like movies or like television. It's live and in person, and it's great to see this amazing show like before you. And it's one of the things that honestly make me the happiest in the world, to be inside of a theater and watch a show. And it's just, I just love sitting in the seat and someone handing me a playbill. I just waiting around, and then the lights going off and the curtain rises. I'm like, there's the actors, there they are in front of me. And I can't describe it properly. I just love it. And I really think everyone should at least give it one try to see live theater. I know musicals aren't everyone's thing, but try it once. It's a different art form, and I think it's something that really needs to be appreciated. So some of my favorites, my favorite is the Phantom of the Opera. I think that is, Phantom is like true blue musical like theater. Like that, like when you think of a musical theater show, that you think of Phantom, because it's so high in spectacle and the music is gorgeous, and it's so timeless of a musical. Like it's the longest running show on Broadway for a reason. I also love Les Mis, another classic theater. I haven't seen like a professional production of it, but I love it. I love the music. I love the message. I love the story behind it. Story of like redemption, and it's really good. I also love West Side Story. I'm so pumped that it's coming back to Broadway, but it's also going to be made a movie by Steven Spielberg next year. And I think that's another classic show. It's just, I love the music in it, and I think it speaks a lot of volumes. Going back to another thing that I'm passionate about, like, you know, racial inequality during that time period, I think it brings up a lot of topics in musical theater. It came out in like the 50s or 60s. A lot of other people weren't talking about, and I'm proud that it was talking about that, compared to maybe a lot of other shows. I also love Wicked. I always recommend that to people. It's such a great show. I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, I'm going to see Wicked, and some may consider it basic musical theater, but I think it's essential. It's a beautiful show. I love the music. I never tire of it. I still love Into the Woods, Finding Girl, like I said, Disney. Any of the Disney musicals are also really good. Um, I was in New York this summer, and I was eating up every opportunity through that Broadway lottery system where you just, you know, play to see if you can get discounted tickets. I saw 9 shows, which I wrote in one of my Caitlin's Pop of Culture columns. So go and check that out, guys. I'll give you all the details of all the shows that I saw. But of the 2 that I saw, I loved Oklahoma. That's my favorite Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. And then I also saw the Cher show. So 2 very opposite type of shows, but those were definitely my favorites. So go and read what I had to think about it. I know that was a bit long-winded, but those are the things that I'm passionate about, and I hope that gives you a taste of who I am as the person. Just so you guys know, I do not plan for this just for me to be talking here like all the time. I guess my plans for the future is that I really want to have interviews with people who have, like I said earlier, passions or exciting life experiences. I really want to get some of the other girls here at her campus at Ohio University really involved. We have some spectacular, not only are these spectacular writers, but there are some powerful and wonderful females that I have the opportunity to work alongside of, and I really want to highlight them, have them talk about different topics that they want to like put out into the universe. And so I really want to use that like as an outlet. And so I plan it to be like also interviews, but also long discussions about various topics with some of the other girls involved. So like dating, just some interests that I may have. Like when award season comes up, guys, you're gonna hear from me. You're gonna hear from me. I live for the Oscars and the Golden Globes and all that sort of stuff. So you will be hearing from me about that. But recent social media topics, so expect that coming from the future from the Passion Project. I also want to hear from you guys as listeners. I want you be able to like interact and maybe say like, hey, I really would love for your opinion on this, Caitlin. Like, what do you think on this? Like, can you talk about it, or do you and another person want to come and talk about it? Because I also want to introduce you guys to people who are a part of my life, because I'm also very passionate about the people I'm involved with, like my friends and stuff like that. So reach out if you guys are listening to this right now and you think of something that you'd like for me to like talk about. You can either reach me or like tag me on Twitter. I'm Caitlin M Hunt 11. Or if you go back to the description link, I have my email address there if you guys want to shoot an idea. So thank you guys so much for sticking around to this first podcast. I'm truly blessed that you guys are listening. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. I'm so excited for the rest of this season. I really hope to bring on some spectacular guests that you guys are going to be so excited about and talk about some awesome topics that everyone can relate to or has an opinion on, or talk about new topics that maybe you guys aren't thinking about. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I can't wait for all of you guys to come back and tune in next time for more. Be watching this space for the next episode. But until then, I have been your host, Caitlin Hunt, and this has been The Passion Project.